Welcome. This is David Boles, Human Meme. Today's topic: we are all replaceable until we're not. We like to think we're irreplaceable, but we really are not in the scope of everything. There is no value in us. The mistake many of us make is that we think we are unique when there are 1,000 of us all over the world with the same talents and inspirations and aspirations. But we are made in moments and created in niches. Emergencies are your friend, and that's when you can shine and make yourself invaluable. Loyalty is also a major factor in the propagation of a career. If you are loyal and others are loyal and dependable to you, then you can write the entire rest of your work in the book of life and be done. But we must be wary about talent, because talent knows how to win, but talent can also be messy and sticky, especially to those who do not understand. For example, a friend of mine was writing a book for a major publisher, and he hit all of his deadlines. And hitting deadlines is almost more important than the content of the book. Because books have sale dates and release dates and publication dates and ship dates. And when you don't come through on a deadline, the rest of the world staggers and waits on you. So my friend was on track with his deadlines, but he was a prickly bore and difficult. And he often questioned the decisions of his publisher. And all of that is normal if you want the best possible book. However, major publishing houses are slaughterhouses, and the cow is the author, and the chainsaw being wielded is your editor. Time, the schedule, your calendar, is where the blood money lives. The trick is to get the book out and get that book to market as fast as possible with as little friction as possible. And when authors start asking questions about advertising and tone and colors and content and about the book cover and about the title of the book, well, those are all topics that nobody else wants to hear about except for the author. You have been warned. If it isn't in your contract, then you cannot bring it up later. And if it is, whatever it is, in your contract, then you never have to bring it up later and be a nudge, an annoyance, because there are people who are paid to make sure all the merits of the contract are met and fulfilled on both sides of the relationship. During the editorial process, my friend was told by his direct editor that his book was so unique that nobody else could write it. Well, my friend called me to tell me the great news. Nobody else could write his book but him. Ha ha! Ew, I thought to myself. That is really terrible news. And because he was my friend, and because he called me, I told him what I had been thinking. And I asked him, hey, what do you think of your publisher trying to find other people to write your book? And my friend said, "Huh?" And I said, "Think about it. They wanted to replace you. Not a surprise. They wanted to replace you, but they really couldn't find anyone else who was able to match your tone and style and still hit all of their existing deadlines. Yes," I told my friend, "it is good for you that you are unique, you have a written voice that's different, and, well, they finally decided they were too far into your book to cancel it or to start over, but they were giving you a little bit of a warning that it seems like you missed." My friend didn't say anything. I continued, "So no, that conversation about only you being able to write your book happened behind your back as they were actively looking for someone else so they could get rid of you." My friend didn't believe me, and he's still my friend today. But back then, he took that editorial compliment at face value and continued to wallow in his greatness, which is probably part of the annoying part and why they wanted to get rid of him in the first place. That false compliment for my friend from his editor still sends chills across my neck, even sharing it with you now, as I realize how close he was to being replaced or fired. His book was released on time, it did well, and to this day my friend thinks everything was dynamic and wonderful on that book. Except he's never written another book again for that publisher. And the rule in writing is pretty much once you're in with a major publisher, you're in forever as long as you'll take their money, unless you make yourself replaceable after the fact. I understand why my friend could not see what I knew, because we are genetically programmed to persuade ourselves into our own valuations. If we know we are replaceable, and we are 1 in 5 and not 1 in 100 million, we keep hope alive by feeling special and unique about only ourselves, because to offer that grace to others only emboldens them and cheapens us, right? Well, that's the thinking anyway. And the mantra of the millennials. The other day, I watched a young woman on television explaining how special she was, in particular, because she's had television all of her life. And so she knew technology, and she felt, at the age of 18, that she was a television pioneer. There was no irony or self-realization in her statement. She truly thought that TV had only been a part of someone's life, her life, in total since she was born 18 years ago. And what I'm sure that young woman also doesn't realize is that thinking like that is completely disposable. She is making her life completely unspecial and non-recyclable with that sort of ridiculous claim that cannot be substantiated beyond the limits of her mind and the boundaries of her exceptions. Will any rude truth be rubbed into her, or is it easier for the rest of us just to let her keep on living in her fantasy world where the sun spins only around her, and as the history of broadcast television becomes limited to the last 18 years, A final example of unwitting replaceability is found in our political enemies. They all believe they have a single truth that only they alone know and that only they alone can replicate. That sort of international hubris is deadly to the all of us. And we've seen no strong man survive in history into perpetuity beyond the limits of his life. And democracies, not people, tend to endure. So far, because there is a lack of hubris and a modicum of being humble against a greater goodness, and a belief that we are stronger together than cleaved apart. And in the USA, we've shed blood and lost treasure and destroyed families and lives to keep alive a united democracy. And that sort of thinking and dedication is ordinary and unsuspecting. And it has kept us alive well beyond the selfiness of us. So if we are all replaceable, why do anything? Why keep any of us around? We stay, some of us, because we are not replaceable. Because we have found a way to compress time and expand space and go outside ourselves and dare to wild in the wilds of the world. People who stay and who are not replaced are generally funny. They work hard. They teach others to see the world as they do. And then they execute those terms to keep all the machines running. We are kept because we are more efficient than others. And it would cost too much money and effort and time to just flat out replace us. But those terms are always changeling. And so we must always keep pressing ahead and be wary of who and what is behind us as we work to keep ourselves valuable to others across all space and every time. Thank you for listening. Be a human me.